What's up, everyone? This is Chris with Jesus Wired. I have the honor and the privilege of introducing everybody to Righteouz Knight. I had the privilege a couple months back of listening to his album, Abstract Theory. Uh, Righteouz Knight, if you want to introduce yourself and let everybody know what's going on.
Absolutely, man. My name is Righteouz Knight. I'm from North Jersey, New Jersey, and I specialize in underground hip hop, Christian underground hip hop, and I'm a MC, a producer, a videographer, graphic designer. You know what I mean, and a control freak. So that's why I'm a videographer, graphic designer, producer because part of me is a control freak. Pray for me. You know what I mean? I struggle
Yeah.
with that, but man, I'm just I'm married. You know what I mean? I don't got no kids yet, but I'm 29 years old and just a man of God and a hip hopper, man. I love Jesus. I love hip hop, and I'm just an all around just pretty chill person, man. Pretty laid back. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. That's pretty much me in a nutshell right there.
Cool. As far as you saying that you're involved with everything, the production, the writing of the tracks, obviously, that type of thing, doing the videos, where'd you get your start amongst all those things?
First thing I started doing obviously was MCing. Well, I don't know if it's obvious, but first thing I started doing was MCing. Started writing, and I started doing production because I saw the game taking a shift, and just the sound of hip hop was changing, and I couldn't find no producers that were preserving that '90s sound that I loved. So I just started messing around because of that. Like, well, if I can't find nobody, let me try to see if I could do it, And I just kept practicing, kept researching, and that's how I started producing. Um, Same thing with mixing. I couldn't afford no engineers, so I just started doing my research. And same thing with everything else. Graphic design, same thing. Started researching Photoshop and messing around. And I remember when I had put out a mixtape I got out called The Prequel 2. I had a song called Theological Events, and I had paid somebody to shoot that video, and it was like dumb expensive. Like it was just like I'm not gonna be like spending this amount of money, you know what I mean, on videos. So I grabbed my little income tax check and I copped the camera and just started doing research like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm just always researching, man. Like I lose sleep, man. Like I'll get like 2 hours of sleep sometimes just researching. Then work, come home, and just keep researching. You know what I mean? Sometimes my wife gotta be like, "Yo, get off that computer." You know what I mean? But that's all it is, man. Just like me, just wanting to have full control of my image, of the look, the videos, the sound, of everything I do. So that's pretty much what kind of pushed me in that direction of just kind of doing everything myself. It's not easy, man. It gets stressful sometimes, but that's pretty much why I got into everything. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So if you had to get talking about full control, if you had to give up some aspect of that control, what would be the toughest thing to give up?
The toughest thing to give up would be rapping. That's my first, like that's the first gift that God blessed me with that I love the most. That's because that's the first thing I started doing. You know what I mean? So the hardest thing to give up would be rapping, and then after that would be probably producing. But one thing I don't like doing is mixing, like engineering and mixing. I can't stand that, man. I wish I had the funds to hire a engineer. I wish I could just go in the booth, record the vocals, and let somebody else mix it. You know what I mean? But that I do not enjoy doing. I'll admit that. You know what I mean? But I'm also like picky too because I don't like my sound to be too polished. You know what I mean? I want it to be like dirty and rugged. You know what I mean? And nowadays people want to polish it up and stuff like. I want it to sound like basement grungy type. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah, the hardest thing would be rapping, definitely.
Well, speaking of the pickiness, a lot of times, especially in abstract theory, I mean, you had tons of real dope features on that album, and is it hard for you to kind of concede some of the bars in your tracks to other people, or do you kind of have some type of conversation with somebody ahead of time to make sure you're feeling what you're feeling for that track, or how does that work out?
Right. It's pretty much like it depends. You know, there's some tracks that, you know, as I was making the beat, I was like, yo, I want this person on it. But then there's also tracks where I wanted to make it a solo track, and then later on down the line, I'm like, you know what? Let me reach out to this person. Like, for example, but for the most part, everybody on Abstract Theory are people that, you know, that I have a personal relationship with, and I know what they do, and I'm a fan of what they do. You know what I mean? Like, Freestyle Fan, for example. You know, before I even met them, I was a fan of them. You know what I mean? Like, I remember me and Swin going to one of their shows, and we were like in the front row, like, you know what I mean? Like, acting like fanboys. You know what I mean? But, you know, I got a chance to spit for them, and they were feeling my style, and we developed a relationship. So Freestyle Fam got a relationship with Evangel, got a relationship with them brothers, you know, because I've been you know, I've produced some stuff on their projects, and yeah, man, everybody, I pretty much got a relationship. Dayton, he lives in Florida, but he's from Jersey, so I know him from Jersey. Disciple Di, I've produced stuff for his project, so it's just people that like I've been building with, you know, and have a personal relationship with, you know what I mean, and I'm a fan of, and you know, I think. Because every time I work on something, I want it to be, I wanted to, like, I put up like a bar, like I set a bar, like a lyrical bar, like you have to be like this much lyrical, because I want the project to be, because nowadays lyricism is frowned upon, you know what I mean? So I'm adamant about keeping that standard, you know what I mean, of lyricism. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But it depends, you know. But everybody I definitely have a personal relationship with. We've spoken on the phone. We've you know, some of them even done shows together and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of, you know, the anatomy of a track, does each track get created following the same process with you, or do sometimes you come up with a beat first, lyrics next, come up with a feature at the end, or is it, you know, is it always the same, or is it case by case for you?
It's case by case. You know what I mean? It's never the same process. Like, even when I'm making a beat, I can have the drums first sometimes, or sometimes I'll have the sample first, or sometimes, you know, sometimes I'll start writing with an idea in mind, and I would already have lyrics, and then I'll go back and, you know, either purchase a beat or make the beat myself. You know what I mean? Like, so nah, it's case by case. You know what I mean? It's definitely not like the same format.
Okay. As far as abstract theory, I thought, you know, the concept creating that as a mixtape format was just insane to me, and it just made so much sense when you listen to that album and how it's basically just everything flows together. Was that something you came up with at the very beginning, or during the process of the album you felt like that would be the right way to go?
That was straight off the bat. Before I even wrote or recorded anything, I knew that that's the format that I wanted, because Average Joe, DJ Average Joe, he did a project with somebody. I don't know if you heard of him. His name is Zeta Blacksmith. He's from he's from Philly. Well, them two, they had came together and they did a project called the Mosaic, and it was that same format. It was all the tracks blended in. And I remember when I heard that, it reminded me of, I remember when DJ Clue in the '90s, DJ Clue put out an album, and it was called The Professional. I don't know if you remember, and every track blended in. You know what I mean? And I always loved that, because, like, it was nostalgic for me, because I heard it and it brought me back to those years. So that was inspired off what Average Joe did with Zeta Blacksmith on the Mosaic. And that's why I reached out to Joe, and I was like, yo, man, I want to add on to to the foundation you guys laid. You know, so I definitely would love to work on a project with you with that same format. You know what I mean? So it was inspired by the Mosaic, Zeta Blacksmith and Average Joe. You know, that's pretty much, but I already knew, like, even before I worked on anything, I was like, yo, I want my project to be blending in like that, like mixtape format. So yeah.
Cool. Well, another thing that I noticed big time on abstract theory is you have a clear appreciation and understanding of musical history, pop culture. Is that something that you're very intentional about, or is it something that when you create a song, you kind of got to research to come up with the ideas for it?
Nah, cause I'm a hip hop head, you know, so I'm a '90s baby because I was born in 1985. So anything from that era till now, I'm like a connoisseur. You know what I mean? Like I'm like my hip hop knowledge is high, you know, from the early '90s till now, and I know about different genres also that because that comes from producing, because when you produce and you sample, you start digging into different genres. You know what I mean? Because hip hop is inspired by everything, rock, blues, jazz, you know what I mean, all of that. So um I'm a digger, man. Like I'm always digging. I'm always you know looking for samples. I'm always looking for songs, digging for albums. So all that knowledge just comes from just all the research that I do because I'm so passionate about music that I'm constantly looking for stuff to sample, you know, or just stuff to listen to, like just everything. So yeah, all that knowledge is just research, man. I'm always researching.
Within that research, do you ever stumble across something outside of what would be traditionally considered the hip hop culture? And have you stumbled across anybody that you'd like to get with and collaborate with on a kind of a live format or get with them and create something brand new?
A Christian or whatever.
Anything.
Anything? Oh man, like I've been listening to a lot of rock lately, man, because you know I like groups like System of a Down and stuff like that. You know, so I would like. With that being said, yeah, I would like to collaborate with some rock and roll cats. You know what I mean? And kind of do kind of like what Run DMC and Aerosmith did. You know what I mean? And incorporate some electric guitars with some drum breaks and you know, just kind of like grab like the underground hip hop feel and mix it with like rock and electric guitars and stuff like that. Like, I definitely, you know, want to do stuff like that.
Okay. You know, speaking of kind of branching out from what would be considered maybe a Christian artist or Christian group, you know, I've spoken to a few artists that maybe started out in the secular world and decided that they're being called by God to, you know, have more faith-based music that they're putting out, but then they are still stuck with their library of music from before and
Right.
kind of having that battle of, all right, if somebody is feeling my music now and they start looking back to the albums that I've already put out, you know, a perfect example that I could think of is MC Jin. You know,
Okay.
he's putting out some real good, you know, faith-based rap albums now, and he's got stuff before that that, you know, maybe he's a little bit less comfortable, you know, somebody backtracking through his library. As far as, you know, you kind of reaching outside of the so-called Christian hip-hop scene and things like that, is it something that maybe you feel or don't feel any kind of responsibility in kind of introducing that to people that are feeling your music?
Yeah, I do. I do feel like I have a responsibility, and yeah, I'm not sure if I would collaborate with secular artists. You know what I'm saying? Like if that happens, it'll definitely have to be something that makes sense, or if it's a secular artist, it's an artist that share the similar beliefs and stuff like that, or something we can lay down. Like it would really have to make sense. You know, I'm not looking for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not
Yeah.
like looking for secular artists to collaborate with. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like you know, I'm open to it. Like, all right, cool. Like if somebody reaches out to me, it'll be like, all right, what are you trying to, you know, what are your motives and what are you trying to do? So I'm not like 100%, you know, against it, but I'm not looking for it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'd rather just stay in my lane. It'll be easier. You know what I mean? So yeah, but yeah, I feel like I definitely have a responsibility, and there's been situations where you know I've posted stuff on social media like, oh, I like this song or whatever, and it's been secular, and people have reached out like, oh, brother, you know what's going on, man? You know that stuff is not godly. You know what I mean? And that was like a wake up call for me because I'm like, you know, I felt that responsibility right there. Like we gotta keep a good testimony because there's people watching us. You know what I mean? So yeah.
For sure, for sure. Um, within the hip hop realm, especially, even so much, some now it seems like with the Christian hip hop scene, there's starting to be, because there's so many more people coming out with music that, you can put up there on a pedestal and be proud of, and it's even starting to break down into the subgenres, like you're talking about being a backpacker, and you got people that are more on the pop side of the hip hop scene. It seems like within hip hop, certain artists kind of don't like anybody that's not in their subgenre. What are you feel that strongly about your subgenre? Or are you able to appreciate somebody else's music even if it's not the type of music that you might put out yourself?
I appreciate music in general. It doesn't have to be in my subgenre. But the reason that I'm so aggressive when it comes to my subgenre is that my subgenre, I'm watching it deteriorate before my
Yeah.
eyes. You know what I mean? Like less and less people are relating to me. Like people that I grew up with and put me on to certain music, or family members that I used to share this music with. They're just like, what are you doing still listening to that? And it's like, yo, man, like I'm a nonconformist. You know what I mean? Like I'm a type of cat that if I enjoy it, you know what I mean, it's not gonna I'm not gonna follow what everybody else is following just because, you know what I mean? Like I still wear Fila, you know what I mean? Like I love Fila, like, and people look at me like, yo, you still rock Fila? I'm like, yeah, like I like it, you know what I mean? Like what? Because everybody else don't like it, so that's why I'm aggressive, as far as like just being an advocate of underground hip hop. But no, if it's good music, it's good music, man. Like you know. I like worship music, man. You know what I mean? Like I love, like cause you know how like when you're in church and you got the up tempo joints and then you got the real slow worship joints. I really love like the worship joints. I love worship music. You know what I mean? I love different type of stuff. You know what I mean? So no, you don't have to be underground hip hop head for me to enjoy your music. Not at all. You know what I mean? Cause you got to give respect when it's due, and there's a lot of talented people doing different stuff. You know what I mean? So nah, man, you don't necessarily have to be an underground head. You know what I mean? I would prefer you to be. You know what I mean? But if you're not, then it's cool. It's could, man. We can link up anyway.
Well, along those lines, is it tough, when you feel like you're putting in work, you're doing the grind, and you're doing all the stuff where maybe there's going to be less people watching you, less people listening to you, and you see somebody out there that's maybe getting, attention, sales, whatever you want to say, and is it hard to see that with other people? I know, a lot of times, like in the comedy world, the ventriloquist guy, Jeff Dunham, I think his name is. He makes,
Yeah.
$20 million a year, and the comedians that work the underground clubs for, 200 people a night, are upset because they feel like he's not real comedy, and do you see that within the hip hop scene too? I mean, specific example is Lecrae. He was just on Jimmy Fallon, #1 album on Billboard.
Right. Right.
I'm seeing stuff on social media where, there's people that aren't necessarily within that same scene of hip hop that, kind of have less than flattering things to say about him.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like you look at that, and yeah, you're like, man, like and anybody who says otherwise is lying, man, because we all want to be in a better position, and we all want to be like me. I would love to do music for a living, you know what I mean, but I'm also realistic, you know what I mean, and like for example Lecrae, like I heard his album, like I was like, all right, let me check his album out, and I heard it. I kind of erased everything out of my mind and just heard his album. Like, let me check out his album as far as like the music. Let me see if I actually like it musically, regardless of his position or whatever. And truth of the matter is, I didn't like it because I didn't like the sound. It wasn't a hip hop sound that I enjoy. You know what I mean? I'm sure, but at the same time, man, like, man, like right now. the Christian community is in an uproar, man. Like, you know, you got the people that are upset because he's not accepting the Christian hip hop title, and then you have his diehard fans that are defending him, and everybody's just going at each other. You're watching it, man. I go on Facebook and I'm just like, wow, like it's almost like an all out war at this point. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, yeah, I look at cats and I'm like, wow, like, you know, he ain't that lyrical, or that beat isn't that dope, man. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think about that, but I think you could wrestle with that, because I think Romans 7 describes us as being wretched people. You know, the good we want to do, we don't do. You know, the bad we don't want to do, we end up doing. Like, it's just our flesh. But I think we should handle ourselves better as far as, like, you know, what do we put on Facebook, and what do we voice on Facebook? You know what I mean? It's fine to have those feelings. It's fine to wrestle with that, because I do. I wrestle with it all the time. I was watching Jimmy Fallon, and I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Like, it bugs me out. You know, because I'm like, to me, I would have loved to see somebody like Cross Movement in that position. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I do wrestle with that, but I try not to be public with it. Those are just things that we all wrestle with. You know what I mean? But I don't know that man personally. You know what I mean? So, you know, and I'm sure that, you know, at the end of the day, is between him and God. God knows his motives. You know what I mean? I do disagree with not owning up to the Christian hip hop label, because at the end of the day, there's nothing you could do from it. You can't run from it. People know you as a Christian artist. You know what I mean? Because I was watching the Breakfast Club 105.1 interview, and they were like, "Oh, you know, you're a Christian artist," and they were just, you know what I mean? And as much as he was like, "Nah, I'm not a Christian artist. Don't put me in the box," like, people are like, "Nah, you're a Christian artist." Like, you know what I mean? So he's not gonna be able to run away from that. But I know I definitely wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, if during interviews, I'll be like, yes, I'm a Christian rapper. Like, you know what I mean? That's something that I wouldn't, that I disagree with. But at the end of the day, man, we're human, man. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we can't just, like, because people are blatantly just dedicating their whole lives to, like, you know, making YouTube videos, like, exposing him and this and that. And it's just like, you don't gotta take it that far. You know what I mean? Just, and I know everybody's like, yo, just pray, just pray, just pray. And it's like, yeah, that's all you can do. If that situation is a stumbling block for you, then that's, at the end of the day, that's what if you don't know him personally, all you can do is pray. You know what I mean? But
Right.
yeah, I do look at it and I'm just like, oh man, yo, like, I want to rock with the roots, yo. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but you know, it is what it is, man. I'm realistic, and I know that the type of music that I do is definitely not the most popular right now, but I'm just, man, I could make a southern beat if I tried, my brother. Like, I just don't know how to do it. I don't even have those type of drums in my library. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, yeah, man.
All right, I'm gonna hit you hard one more time, and then we'll take it easy on you the rest of the way. But you know,
Uh,
with the recent issues with law enforcement, race relations within law enforcement, you know, back to the whole social media thing and the responsibility as, you know, a Christian artist and talking to your fans. Now, I can say personally, I've seen a lot of stuff that really kind of make me raise an eyebrow. Where, you know, some of the stances some of the people that I've looked up to have had about law enforcement and making general statements about, you know, how they are with, you know, minorities and things like that.
right.
Um, you know, it's tough for me to ask as, you know, a white person to somebody and be sensitive and, you know, respectful to somebody that is of a minority in general. But, you know, something that I've been struggling with, like I said, is, you know, when you're a Christian, is that not what you are first? And sometimes I feel like some people are kind of making that a secondary thing when they're taking some of their stances. Um, you know,
Right.
do you have a take on that?
Yeah, I have a light take on it, because I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, all the stuff with the racism and all that, like, I've kind of, like, I'm not a big fan of politics in general, man, because number one, I don't know much about it, and number two, I see how it just people for the most part are always bitter. You know what I mean? But I agree with you, man. I've been seeing a lot of people in our genre or you know in the body Christian rappers um after the Mike Brown situation put Christianity secondary and everybody becomes an activist all of a sudden. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm not gonna front, man. I'm like, you know what? We're Christians first. You know what I mean? We're Christians first, and we still we still gotta have grace for you know for the oppressor. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm with you on that, man. Like I agree with that. You know what I mean? I feel like certain people have kind of put their Christianity like on the back burner, you know, to kind of do the whole activist thing and you know do the whole and march and stuff like that, and that's understandable, man. And you know I understand that, but at the end of the day, I feel like you know you can't forget that we have to just show grace before anything. You know what I mean? Like you could voice your opinion and you can protest and do and you can have a peaceful protest or whatever the case may be, but and I understand where you're coming from, and I can't say like because I'm not black, I'm actually Hispanic, I'm Dominican. I was born here, but both my parents are Dominican. So and yeah, I grew up kind of like in a minority, you know what I mean, in the hood, you know what I mean. Like I grew up in those environments, so I kind of understand. But at the end of the day, man, for people like us, I think we need to like just kind of like recalibrate, you know, like readjust our priorities, and just remember that we're Christians first. So I agree with you on that, man. You know what I mean? I agree with you on that. I feel like people are kind of like, you know, like forgetting, you know, like they're not prioritizing. You know what I mean? As far as like, you know, activist Christian, you know what I mean, minority and you know, and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, man. But it's a touchy subject, man. I like, you know, certain things hit home for certain people. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah. So I try to be I try not to get too much into it into stuff that I haven't went through personally, you know, but you know, I kind of understand, but at the end of the day, man, when it's all said and done, you're a Christian first. You know what I mean? You're a man of God, and you gotta you know that you gotta move as a man or woman of God first before anything. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Okay. Well, let's take it way back a little bit. I want to go back to Abstract Theory. Uh, Hands down, probably the best album I've heard this year, and I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you right now.
Thank
But
you, man.
as far as the album, is there one track that stands out to you as being the most proud of it, or is it hard to pick one out like that?
Um, every day is different. I listen to it a lot because I'm trying to memorize it. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to, yeah, I'm trying to. That's something that is not, you know, to be transparent. That's not one of my strongest points. Memorizing my lyrics. I guess it's because my lyrics are so wordy, you know, and I'm like, man, like when I was writing them and recording them, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm like da 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 da. But when it comes to like memorizing them, I'm like, oh man, like you know what I mean? It's definitely a task, but every day is different. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be listening to it one day, and one track might hit me, and it'll bring me back to how I felt when I wrote it and recorded it, man. But Kick Rocks is special to me because Kick Rocks is just my way of saying like, yo, because so many people, man, so many people are like, yo, um, you know, like you gotta do more of a modern sound. You know what I mean? Like they either tell me that, or you know, the dudes in the streets, they're like, yo, it's dope. You know what I mean? For you know, but I don't know about all that Jesus stuff, right? That or you know, but everybody just wants to like tell me like, nah, you're not headed in the right direction. You know what I mean? People are like people that aren't Christian are like, yo, you should just like not rap about Jesus or not, you know what I mean? And then people that are Christian are like, nah, yo, you know, you gotta do like a more modern sound. And just everybody's just trying to like pull me in different directions that I don't want to go. And you know, I'm just like, yo, man, just kick rocks, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so that like my heart was just like, you know, but in a playful way. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to get at anybody, but like in a playful way, I'm just like, man, kick rocks, man, because you know what? At the end of the day, man, I'm just expressing myself through music. I want to do the type of music that I like doing, I enjoy doing. You know, I don't want to be fake. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people that they hit me up, like even DJs, like certain DJs will hit me up and be like, "Yo, man, like, yo, I love this type of music, man. Thank you, man. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I can't play it because you know what I mean. Like, you know, nobody's gonna listen to it, so I can't." And I'm just like, "What? Like, you're the DJ. You like you control like what people listen to. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted to like." You'll play whatever you want to play. Whoever don't like it, you know what I mean? But the DJs are like, yo, unfortunately, I can't play. You know what I mean? So it's just all that put together. And that's why that song is special because, you know, that's just me just kind of like saying like, yo, listen, man, like, you know, as long as I put God first, I'm going to rock how you know, how I want to rock. Like, you know, I'm going to do the type of music I want to do. I'm going to pick the type of beats I want to pick. And I got to work with Theory Has It, which I'm a big fan of. You know what I mean? And you know that was exciting for me too. So Kick Rocks I would say holds a special place. You know what I mean in my heart, and you know that's why I guess I chose to put it out first. But I would say Kick Rocks and and let it out because it's personal. You know what I mean? It's you know stuff that went on like in my family and stuff like that, and I just talk about like being around certain family and just like because you know when certain things happen with family, it's always tough to come around. Even though like you know like you bury the hatchet and everything, it's always weird. You know what I mean? Like it's always like man, like you always get like random thoughts and stuff like that. So let it
Yeah.
out is special to me too. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I got to ask you about Scrabble Battle. Who came up with that idea?
I did. That was inspired by you ever heard of Papoose? You
No,
ever
can't
heard
say
it?
I have.
Well, yeah, it's a secular dude. It's a street dude named Papoose. He's from Brooklyn, I believe, and he released a song called Alphabetical Slaughter, but he did it different. He did every letter of the alphabet, and he did every letter like a few lines with A, a few lines with B, a few lines with C. So I was like, yo, you know what? Like, what if I do a whole verse with just every single word being the same letter, like, and no, and like you said in the review, that's why I said, man, he gets it, like, no transitional words. You know what I mean? Because a
Right.
lot of people have done it. A lot of people have done it, but they always use like and the and just like transitional words, like you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, like I want to do like the whole verse, every single word. You know what I mean? Like so yeah, that was my idea, and I recorded my verse before I even reached out to Chosen Disciple and to Swin. I already had my verse recorded. You know what I mean? Because I had purchased that beat by some dude named C Lance. I'm a fan of his production. I got to work with him. He gave me the beat. I wrote to it. At first, it was gonna be a solo track, but I was like, "Yo, I can't write 3 verses like that, man. My brain explode." You know what I mean? But um, yeah, so I had wrote my verse and recorded it, and I had the verse already recorded, and I was just like, man, who could I reach out to? You know what I mean? And Chosen Disciple, I know because he lives a few towns away from me, and and I've been knowing him for a couple years and stuff like that. He's been doing music on and off and stuff like that, and I've always been a fan of what he did, so I reached out to him, and then I was gonna leave it like that, but then Swin was like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I want to get on that, you know what I mean? Because me and Swin always had like a friendly competition, you know what I mean? We always used to try to outdo each other, you know what I mean? So he was like, nah, let me get on that. So then I was like, all right, cool, like, so he got on it last, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was my idea. I was just trying to think of something fun to do. You know what I mean? Like it's not really no concept. It's just fun. Like just to see if you could do it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So putting out an album like that, especially being, involved in every aspect of it, is it something where you've got to take a break afterwards, or you done with that and you're already ready to start working on something else? How's that work for you?
I'm already ready, man. But see, this is the thing. Like I do so much. So some days I'm inspired to make beats. Some days I'm inspired to write. Some days I'm inspired to create. You know what I mean? Because I know, because I'm gonna come out with a T-shirt line, and I wanna, and lately I just been trying to come up with ideas of what designs to put on T-shirts. You know what I mean? And because I want to do, like just stuff like I want to do designs that when you look at it is gonna remind you of the '90s. Just anything from the '90s. So I'm trying to be creative like that. You know what I mean? But nah, man. Like I already got verses. I already got new verses that I wrote. You know what I mean? I already got beats that I made. Like so, yeah. I'm the type that I'll just dive into something else right away. So right now I'm just like I'm writing. I'm making beats. I'm designing, like designs for T-shirts. Um I'm shooting videos. Like on Tuesday I'm gonna release the video for Mind Labyrinth. So we're gonna put that out on Tuesday, and I'm gonna shoot um a video for Jersey Saints with my boy Anonymous, and I'm just gonna. Man, I'm. If it was up to me, I'll shoot a video for every song on Abstract Theory. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's tough because you need help to do that. You know what I mean? Like my wife helps me a lot when it comes to that. So yeah, I'm the type I go right in. I go right in and just keep working.
Okay, so do you have a set schedule for when albums come out, or is it just something that, whenever it all gets together, it comes out? I mean, are you trying to do a new album every 2 years, every 3 years, every year, or is it going to be just depending on what you have time to do and how it comes to you?
It's dependent on what I have time to do and how it comes together. But I also have certain goals I wanna, you know what I mean? Like I would like to release an album every year, but at the end of the day, to be realistic, it just all depends how it all comes together. You know what I mean? Because not not everything always works. You know what I mean? Like I've written to songs and tried to record them, and I couldn't get the verse down how I wanted to, and got frustrated and just scratched that track and got nothing done that day. You know what I mean? Or one day I tried to make a beat and it didn't come out the way I wanted to, so I erased it and I got nothing done that day. Like that happens a lot. Like every track always don't come out how you want it to, or you might have an idea for a beat and try to execute it, and it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? So it just depends, yo, how everything comes together. I would like to release an album out every year, but it all depends, man. How everything flows,
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I could speak to you all day long, all night long, but I'm sure you got things to do. But what I do want to do is make sure everybody who's listening to this knows how they can get a hold of that Abstract Theory, as well as all the albums you put out before that. So why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where they can get that stuff?
I have my whole discography on Bandcamp. I have all my instrumental albums, all my albums, mixtapes is on righteousknight.bandcamp.com. Righteous ending with a Z. Please, with a Z. Because everybody be, you know what I mean? Everybody be putting the S. I get it, man. Spell check. I get it. You know what I mean? But Righteous ending with a Z. Righteous Knight. RIGHTEOUZKNIGHT. .bandcamp.com. I have everything there. I have Abstract Theory, all the digital stores, you know what I mean? Like iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Google Play, all that. And I just put out the Abstract Theory instrumentals and acapellas on Bandcamp. I got the physical copies, Righteous Knight Store.bigcartel.com. Got the physicals. And yeah, man. So yeah, man, all the digital stores got the physicals available, so it's there. It's there, man. If you want to support, if you feel led to, You know, reach out and support. Um, I'm gonna be dropping a lot of videos, man. This Tuesday, I'm gonna put out My Labyrinth, the video for that. You know what I mean? And we're just gonna be shooting mad videos. So we're gonna be consistent, man. Just try our best to be consistent. You know what I mean? And yeah, man. For those that support it, thank you. We appreciate it because you know how it is. Independent artists, you know, if when people support, like that's what keeps us afloat. You know what I mean, financially, and that's what allows us to drop the next whatever the next project is. You know what I mean. So if you want to book me for a show, go to holycorebooking@hotmail.com. Holycorebooking@hotmail. You know, and I charge 50,000. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so just hit me up right there, and you can book me there, man. And I'm just grateful, man. I'm just having fun, and for those people that I've definitely seen an increase in supporters, so I'm grateful for that. You know, I'm grateful for different platforms like yourself. At JesusWire.com, like it's definitely been helping us and stuff like that. So yeah, man.
Cool. What about social media? Do social media too?
Yes, Righteouz Knight everything. Righteouz Knight everything.
Okay.
Twitter @Righteouz Knight, Facebook.com/Righteouz.Knight, YouTube.com/Righteouz Knight, Instagram @Righteouz Knight. So everything Righteouz Knight, man. Get at me. I'm heavy on social media. You know what I mean? Because I like just communicating with everybody and just seeing what people think about the stuff we're doing. So
cool.
Yeah, man. Reach
All right,
out.
well, you're on top of the mountain right now, as far as I'm concerned. There's only 3 months left in the year, so people are running out of time.
Yes. Yes. But I'm grateful.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I appreciate your time very much. I mean, it was a pleasure talking to you. It was a pleasure to be introduced to your album. Like I said,
Thank you,
I can't recommend it highly enough to everybody listening to this, and I wish you nothing but continued success.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Likewise. Likewise.
Absolutely. Take it easy.
Bang!
This is Chris Johnson with Jesus Wired, Righteouz Knight, and we're out.